So we're making a determination now. Do we go to Chicago, or do we go to a place like New Orleans, where we have a great governor, Jeff Landry, who wants us to come in and straighten out a very nice section of this country that's become quite tough, quite bad.
From the potential deployment of National Guard troops in New Orleans, you heard there, to Chicago, President Trump is going full steam ahead in his pledge to stop the violence. Let's bring in former U.S. Attorney John Fishwick. Great to see you as always. So the president does not appear to be swayed in the slightest by the judge's ruling in California, as you know, just recently saying the deployment of National Guard troops to L.A. was illegal. The difference, it seems, with Louisiana's governor is he is saying, John, they support the possibility of troops. What do you make of this? When it comes to domestic matters, how critical is having that state input, that state invitation?
Well, I'm sure President Trump and his team would prefer to have the governor of a given state given their consent and wanting the National Guard troops brought into a given city. But nevertheless, under the federal law that deals with calling up the National Guard in a given state, the president does not need the permission of the governor to call up the National Guard. That law gives broad power to President Trump and any president to call up the National Guard, whether the governor wants the president to do that or not. Nevertheless, I think there'll be fewer lawsuits if a governor consents to the National Guard being called up. It'll make probably the job easier for the National Guard. So I'm sure President Trump wants the governor to go along with him, but under the law, it is not a requirement.
Well, it seems like the White House would be appealing the California ruling. As you know, this started with D.C. The president saying that D.C. is a template. We'll see how much further this goes. John, also want to bring to your attention another legal battle we are watching. The Trump administration getting ready to defend the president's sweeping tariffs before the Supreme Court. But the Treasury Secretary seems to have a backup plan. He cited Section 338 of the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930. Many experts calling it a disaster. I've got an article pulled up that I was reading on the U.S. Senate historical page, and it used that language repeatedly. What's to say that that won't happen here? What do you make of this?
Well, Dee Dee, the Trump legal team is dusting off a number of old laws. This is the Smoot-Hawley Act of 1930. It came at a bad time in our country. Obviously, that was around the time of the Great Depression, so it did not work out well then. But it is another law that gives President Trump the ability to impose tariffs. I think they're hedging their bets. They may lose very well at the Supreme Court under the current law where the tariffs have been imposed. But this other law would permit them to impose tariffs for probably not as long as the current tariffs are. It may not be the best law for them to go forward with tariffs, but the Trump administration will have a number of other options to impose tariffs, even if they lose at the Supreme Court. And I'm sure they're looking at every law on the books, including this 1930 law that didn't work out so well back then. But nonetheless, in the short term, it gives President Trump the power to impose tariffs.
Yeah, you're right. Many experts said that that plan backfired. We'll see what the Supreme Court decides. We'll see how this Plan B works out. Former U.S. Attorney John Fishwick, thank you for your insight tonight.
Thank you.